seventh session of Secrets of Spirituality. In the session, I was discussing about this particular sentence, which is written in Maitreyi Upanishad. Abheshanam jnanam dhyanam nirvishayam manaha. In relationship to this, I'd like to tell one small story, but let me tell the story after I complete this slide, because there it makes more sense. But please remember now, Abheshanam jnanam. Knowledge means there is no difference between you and the self. Knowledge means there is no difference between fish and water. Water itself became fish. In the same way, self itself became ego. Fish is temporary, water is permanent. In the same way, ego is temporary, self is permanent. And if at all you have to understand this particular fact, then you will have to involve yourself in dhyana. When you involve yourself in dhyana, dhyanam nirvayam manaha, mind without any subjects, which means mind without any thoughts, which means mind without any decisions, which means mind without any intentions, mind completely blank. That itself is dhyana. Now you may think that more and more thoughts will actually develop the personality of a person, because more and more thoughts, when they are implemented into such actions, gradually we will have many achievements. In fact, this was one question which was asked to me many years before by one of the students, that these thoughts only that we are going to have so many activities, and through the activities only we are going to have progress. How is it that when we don't have thoughts, why that is called as something good? Then my answer was, if all the thoughts are, let us say, positive thoughts, let us say all the positive thoughts will lead to positive activities, and let us say that progress causes the overall development of everyone's life on this earth, then in such a case, such thoughts are really required. The thoughts which can enhance the quality of life, or the thoughts which can enhance the overall quality of the society itself, such thoughts are required. But out of the 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts that occur per day, how many thoughts are having such impact on one's life? Now that is questionable. The second reason why this sentence is told as dhyanam nirvishayam manaha is, as long as you keep on thinking, you will keep on assuming about yourself that you are what you think. And if you keep on thinking about your own progress, your own benefits, your own achievements, or let us say along with your own progress, you keep on thinking about others' progress as well. Now that progress, whatever you call, is basically a material progress. Whenever we say that our thoughts will gradually lead to actions, positive thoughts will lead to positive actions, and we will have overall progress, that progress is basically a material progress. In whatever way they call it as progress or achievement or accomplishment, in the normal sense, what type of progress is it? It is basically a material progress. And how long this progress will go on? If the material progress is there, how long it will go on? It will never end. For example, 100 years before, people never thought of landing on the moon. They never had an imagination that there can be a space station. There can be so many satellites. There can be this GPS system. There can be the cellular technology. There can be an online class also. 100 years before, people did not have this particular imagination at all. But all these happened. All these happened because of more and more of thoughts, more and more of activities. That's all fine. But when this will end? From 0G to 1G, 1G to 2G, 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G. In what way this will go on? And at the end, how come the material progress is going to lead to solution of problems of the human beings? More and more of material progress, problems coming into picture. Now we may think of landing on the moon. Now, if we land on the moon, if it is called as a progress, then spoiling the atmosphere on Earth and landing on the moon, is it going to help us in any way? What happens is, even the atmosphere on the moon also will be spoiled gradually. Then we have to land on the Mars, land on the Venus, land on the Jupiter. This way it will go on. That is why all the saints and sages advised more of conquering the inner world rather than conquering the outer world. Conquering of the outer world in the name of progress or achievement or accomplishment is never going to end, because there is no limit as such about what to do with these people who are involved in such activities. If you conquer the inner world, then you are satisfied in your own way. When you are satisfied in your own way, that's the best thing that you can do for the life on earth. Now, one more important thing is, unless you control your thoughts, you will never be able to understand that ego itself is transitory. Unless you understand the ego itself is transitory, how will you be able to realize the self? Unless the fish stops whatever it is doing, how will the fish understand that it is the very essence of water itself? So, instead of a material progress, if at all, if there is a paradigm shift of a spiritual progress, then this sentence has a lot of sense, a lot of value addition. Let there be a material progress for a comfortable lifestyle. That is very much required for anybody and everybody. But after some time, let there be a quest for the truth, the ultimate truth, and let there be a system defined for a spiritual progress also. That is when people will stop harming others. People will stop harming the nature as such. And if there is harmony in nature, harmony in human life, then what else is required on this earth? In fact, ever since many millenniums, there has been a prayer for peace. There has been an effort for peace. There has been a discussion for having an overall peace on earth. Still, why that overall peace on earth is not happening? That is because the importance is given for the material progress, for the technical progress, for the financial progress, and there is a continuous effort to conquer everything that is visible, conquering the earth, conquering the solar system as such maybe. And that is where the basic need for spiritual progress is not being thought of. When it is not being thought of, how can there be peace on earth? This was realized millenniums before by the rishis who had conquered their inner world. And that is when they told Abheda Darshanam Jnanam Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. You will have to reduce your thoughts and think only that. Think whatever you substantially, verify your own thought, whether it is going to be useful for yourself or to the society or to the family. Then promote such thoughts and gradually convert those thoughts which are useful to yourself, which are useful to the society. It must have all these domains of personal progress, relational progress, social progress, financial progress, and intellectual progress. In that case, it is worth it. Otherwise, if thinking is repetitive and thinking is selfish, how can we really achieve the overall progress on this earth, where if everyone is competing with each other, how can there be a real spiritual progress on this earth? After all, anybody and everybody, what do they require? Any human being on this earth, what do they require? They require good meals per day, maybe 2 or 3 meals per day for satiating hunger, and good amount of clothes to wear, and a place to live, a cozy place to live, and then a healthy and fit body, and finally a peaceful mind. These are basically the 5 things that are required for anybody and everybody on this earth. If all these 5 things are not happening, then what is the meaning of any type of progress? So Rishi understood that the real knowledge is the knowledge that ego is part of the self. Ego is not different from the self. It is the self which is transforming itself into ego. The next thing is, if you have objectless mind, if you have subjectless mind, if you have thoughtless mind, then the mind will stop its activity. When the mind stops its activity, ego will gradually divert its effort, and ego will have to realize that it is part of the self. And that is where meditation helps in self-realization. Let us talk a little more about dhyana now. In addition to thought control, dhyana makes you more and more sensitive and aware. Let me tell one of my experiences. One day, me and my wife had gone for a walk, and walk as well as some shopping for the home, as well as a visit to the temple. We went to Malleshwaram 8th Cross, and there's a temple, there's a Ram Mandir temple. Adjacent to the temple, there's a small park, and there are 2 benches there. Me and my wife went there. We casually sat there on the bench. It was in the evening time. There was a cool breeze blowing. And I closed my eyes there. I did not meditate. I was not thoughtless. I was simply sitting on the bench, and I simply closed my eyes there. When I closed my eyes, I was simply sitting just like that, enjoying the cool breeze. Suddenly, inside, I saw one beautiful white-colored flower. And that white-colored flower was not the Parijata flower. Even though we were sitting adjacent to the Parijata tree, that flower which I saw was not a Parijata flower. My eyes were closed. And I did not think of the Parijata flower at that time. In fact, I was not visualizing anything. I was not meditating on anything. I was simply sitting there. When I was simply sitting there, suddenly that flower appeared in front of my eyes, the closed eyes. And after a few seconds, it simply vanished. I did not tell this to my wife also at that time. Later on, I kept on thinking that I was not meditating. I was not thinking of anything. I was simply enjoying the evening cool breeze. And how come this flower appeared in front of my eyes? And After a while, I understood that it is not my wishful thinking. It was not my wishful thinking. It was not my imagination. It was not my memory recall also, because such flower was not there in my memory. Not seen such flower anywhere, and such flower does not exist also on this earth. It was a white flower, but it was not a parijata flower. I had not seen such flower at all. Finally, I understood that the divinity is inspiring from within for creativity. And that is how the divinity has created varieties of flowers, and even in future it will keep on creating varieties of flowers, because divinity loves variety and diversity. Divinity loves variety in life. That is why variety of birds, variety of animals, variety of plants, variety of flowers, variety of fruits, there is variety everywhere in nature. Now, when divinity loves variety, divinity also has an aspect of creativity, and that is where I came to know that my meditation practice has led me to a subtle connection with the divinity, where the divinity is expressing itself through me as well. Otherwise, how can a hunter become a great poet called Valmiki, and he can write a great poem called Srimad Ramayanam? How can a fisherwoman's son called Vyasa can write 18 Puranas, Mahabharata, Brahma Sutra, and in the Mahabharata, Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, Srimad Bhagavad Gita? How? Is it some person's outcome or person's achievement? Can a person, just by thinking, can a person write such great classical books, time-tested books, where every facts of life is discussed very clearly? How is it possible? Unless the divinity is expressing itself through someone or through something. So this way, dhyana makes you more and more sensitive, and dhyana makes you more and more aware. Only when you try to reduce the ego, you are giving a chance for the self to express itself. As long as you keep increasing your ego, you are not giving the chance for the self or the divinity to express through you. Only when you become empty, divinity will fill you through its creativity, through its expression. If you remain full with your own material aspirations, or with your own selfish thoughts, or with your own ego which is increasing day by day, how can you really expect that someday divinity will use you as its channel? Now remember the previous sentence, Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. When your mind is blank, you are stopping your own thoughts, and divinity will fill your mind through its thoughts now. When the divinity fills your mind with its thoughts, your mind has become a channel for the divinity that is within you. That is why Jesus Christ repeatedly told in the Bible that the kingdom of God is within. And he repeatedly told that me and my Father are one. But the people misunderstood it in many different ways. Yeah, there are two questions. Yes, I had told earlier that what is right and what is wrong is the secret that resides in one's heart. Yes, everyone knows that hitting will cause pain, but still people hit each other. Why? Everyone knows that quarreling and scolding with each other will actually increase the aggression. Still, why people keep on quarreling? Everyone knows that whatever happens to me, the same way it will happen to others also. That is why Jesus Christ told in the Bible, do unto others that what you want to be done unto you. So everyone knows what is right and what is wrong. But after some time, what they do is, whatever they keep on doing without actually thinking about whether it is right or wrong, they have been doing the same thing again. They develop that as a habit. And after it becomes a habit, they keep on justifying their own habits. And after some time, people will say, because it has become their habit, then they keep saying, whatever I am doing is right. Now you have to be careful about what all habits you develop and why do you develop such habits. And irrespective of the habit, you should really distinguish between what is right, what is wrong. Even animals and birds also know what is right, what is wrong. If a bird is trying to bite some other bird, then this biting bird knows that its biting will cause pain to the other bird. Knowingly it bites. To cause pain only it bites. Which means the bird knows that it is wrong, still it bites because its ego or its habit is making it to bite at other bird. Now if the other bird is stronger than this bird, that other bird will start biting this bird and this bird will fly away. Now let us say one stray dog comes to your street and there are some other 5 or 6 dogs which are in the same street. All these 5 or 6 dogs will start barking at the stray dog. Now if the stray dog is weak, if it becomes afraid, if it starts running away, then all these other dogs which are there in the street, they will start chasing that dog. And if possible, they will bite that dog. It has to save its own life, it has to run away. Now let us say the stray dog which came there, if it is much stronger and if it barks much harder than these dogs, then these dogs will simply go away. Now think about it. What is right, what is wrong is already a secret that resides in one's heart. There is something called manasakshi. There is something called conscience. And every now and then, this conscience exhibits itself, indicating that whatever you speak may not be right, whatever you do may not be right. But when that conscience emerges from your heart, your head will tell or your ego will tell to submerge it. You will submerge this conscience and you will keep on doing whatever you have been doing because you have developed your own habits for satisfying your own ego. Now again, go back to Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. If you can have a subjectless mind, thoughtless mind, then you are not giving a chance for the ego to submerge the conscience. Conscience is part of the divinity. And the conscience, when it emerges, that is when a hunter will become a poet. That is when a fisherwoman's son will become a great philosopher like Vedavyasa. And that is when even very normal living people like Shishunala Sharif or Kabira, they become great philosophers. They become the beacons of light for people like us. That is because divinity has used them as its own channels. Next question. How the two different things, jnana and dhyana, are related to each other? Now, jnana is knowledge of the self. Dhyana should help you gradually to develop the awareness so that you are part of the self. You are not an outcome of a sexual activity between your parents. You should understand that. The sexual activity between your parents happened only as a physical interaction. Neither your mother nor your father designed your body, which means you should simply understand that your body was designed by something which is much bigger than human beings, or something which is much bigger than your basic knowledge of life. If biology says that sperm and ovum will join together and will develop a body, let them develop a body without using any womb. Is it possible? They will make sperm and ovum join in a test tube, and when the test tube, inside the test tube, when an embryo or a zygote is formed, not embryo, only zygote is formed, they will implant that zygote inside a lady's womb only, right? Now, without a lady's womb, can they really allow that body to get designed and manufactured? Which means all the living bodies are designed by a divine source itself. That is jnana. If that jnana has to happen, you will have to involve in dhyana. Why? Because their ego will keep on believing on whatever you have studied in biology, as sperm and ovum will join, it will become a zygote. And your ego will keep on believing those facts only which are mentioned in the regular textbooks. Now, you will have to go beyond all those things, because all those textbooks are someone else's findings or opinions or whatever. But do they discuss life in the spiritual domain? If they don't discuss life in a spiritual domain, is there any answer for all the questions? I keep asking you the same questions, right? How come a flower will have a beauty? How come a flower will have a fragrance? How come a flower will have a nectar? And how come honeybees and butterflies come to the flower for their nectar? And how come the cross-pollination happens? And how come the same flower becomes a fruit? How come the fruit becomes a food for some other mammals or birds? And how come the seeds are spread throughout? And through the same seeds, another plants and another trees are born, and the cycle continues. Can you simply say that it is just biology, sir? It is just nature, sir? Can you simply say, if you say it is just nature, then I will say, who is planning these activities in nature? Now, if you have to understand that, you will have to reduce your ego, and you have to become like a child once again. Start learning about life once again with a clean slate, with a pure mind, without any biases, without any subjudices, or without any prerogative thoughts. That is where meditation is required or dhyana is required. Okay, for the next question, while performing dhyana, what and all we need to take care, like chanting? That you wait until I start the practical classes. You wait. You will come to know about the preparation for dhyana that way. The purpose of dhyana is to make your mind blank. That's all. Dharana will help in dhyana. You will come to know about it when you start the practices. Look at this picture. In this picture, you will see the 7 chakras. I had mentioned about the 7 chakras earlier. Now, for the purpose of good practice, for each chakra, the rishis had prescribed a particular yantra and a particular mantra. I will not tell these details now. Anyhow, when we start our practical classes, we will be discussing more about this particular yantra and mantra. Don't keep on asking me too many questions. I have been telling. Don't keep on asking me too many questions. A big fruit has to be eaten in small slices. You cannot eat a big fruit at once. You will have to wait until at least I finish my 1 or 2 sessions. Until then, without you knowing what I am going to cover in the whole presentation, don't keep on asking me questions. Wait for those sessions now. As I am telling again, a big fruit has to be eaten in small slices. I'll have to take 1.5 hour class every day, small slices. I have told you that I'm going to take 24 sessions. At the end of 24 sessions, without you asking any questions, I would have answered all those questions in my own way. Even after 24 sessions, if you still have questions, you can always ask me in the practical classes. Until listen more, questionless. I'll answer only the very genuine questions. Otherwise, don't keep on repeating the questions again and again. Unnecessary waste of time for you and me. Okay. The rishis had prescribed for each chakra one yantra and one mantra. Now, once you start practicing Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the total 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga as prescribed by Patanjali. Once you start practicing all these one by one, you will gradually know yourself more. And gradually you will know about the Panchakoshas. You will be aware of the Panchakoshas without me telling you. Now, because I am telling you, you are believing me. You may think that, yeah, maybe there are Panchakoshas, maybe because sir is telling, they may be there. You need not think that they may be there. When you are aware of your own Panchakoshas, you will know that your basic existence is like that itself. Now, for that matter, you will have to think beyond your body. You will have to practice beyond your body. When you have to practice beyond your body, you cannot later on be aware of your own body. For example, in the dreaming state, you are not aware of your body at all. In the dreaming state, you are only with your mind. But in the sleeping state, you are neither with the body nor with the mind. But in the sleeping state, you are very much there, but without any awareness. Only in the morning when you wake up, you will feel your body. And then you will feel your mind. But before that, in the deep sleeping state, you are comfortably unaware of everything. You yourself do not exist in the deep sleeping state. Means how can you say that you are the body and you are the mind? If you are the body, even in the sleeping state, you must have the awareness of your physical body, right? But you say that, sir, I was sleeping, sir, you will say. What is that sleep? Basically, what is that sleep? Brain did not die. Brain did not stop its activity. Heart did not stop its activity. Breathing kept on happening. Digestion also kept on happening. Blood circulation kept on happening. Now, where everything kept on happening even during deep sleep, now when you did not have the awareness of your own body's functionality, now it simply means what? Simply means that the electric bulb should not think that it is an electric bulb and it is glowing. Electric bulb will glow only when electric current passes through the bulb. If the electric current does not pass through the bulb, that electric bulb is of no use at all. So the electric bulb should not keep saying that I am the bulb, I am the bulb, I am glowing, I am glowing. It should not say. It should know that only when the electric current passes through it, then only it can glow. Without the electric current, the bulb is nothing. Now the electric fan cannot say that I am rotating, I am producing wind, I am producing air, I am making the room cool. I can move in speed 1, speed 2, speed 3, 4, speed 5. Electric fan cannot think that way. Electric fan should understand that without the electric current, it cannot move 1 millimeter also. The electric fan should be aware that its functionality is basically governed by the flow of electric current. In the same way, you should be aware that through which your body is working, through which your mind is working, which is the one which is causing this awakened, dreaming and sleeping state. If it is the brain which is inducing all these 3 states, then how come the brain is programmed? How the brain is programmed? Because ultimately the brain was developed within the mother's womb only. When the brain was developed within the mother's womb only, then how come the brain was programmed? Was it the mother's brain which programmed it? No. Through the umbilical cord, only the essence, food, nutrients were pumped into the body. That's all. Otherwise, mother's brain is different and your brain is different. If your brain and your mother's brain both are one and the same, then you must develop the same qualities that are there with your mother herself, right? Your brain is not a replica of your mother's brain. Now you cannot say that the mother's brain caused all those things. Again, the next question comes. How come the mother brain was programmed to do all these functionalities? Your mother herself will not be knowing that. With all these discussions, now you should understand at least one simple thing, that body is physical, but the source which designs the body and manufactures the body cannot be physical. If that has to be understood, then you'll have to meditate more and more, and you'll have to be becoming sensitive more and more. You'll have to be aware of the energy that is keeping your body alive. The energy that is keeping your body alive is called as prana, which I have been repeatedly telling earlier. Now, if you have to be aware of the prana which is keeping your body alive, you will have to practice meditation seriously. You will have to stop your thoughts seriously. Only then the attention to the brain will be shifted to the other domain. As long as your brain keeps on generating egoistic thoughts or selfish thoughts or materialistic thoughts, you are not giving the chance for the brain to become aware of the other things. Now, when you start practicing meditation systematically, that is when you are diverting your attention from the normal mundane life to something which is beyond the normal mundane life, to something which is keeping your very body alive. That is what is prana. Now, when you become aware of prana, you will become aware of some more bigger things. The increased sensitivity, one can feel the vibration of prana, the movement of the chakras, and the subtle working of the spiritual force in the body called as kundalini. In the yogic terms, there is a word called kundalini, which is actually developing the instincts with the beings. There is a subhashita that says, Ahara nidra bhayamaithunani samanyametat pashubirnam dharmo hi tesham adhiko visheshaha dharmo vihinaha pashubis samana. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunani samanyam etat pashubihi naranam. Ahara means hunger, nidra means sleep, bhaya means fear, maithuna means sexual interest. All these four are common between human beings and other beings. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko visheshaha dharmo vihinaha pashubis samanaha means when you are hungry, what to eat, what not to eat, there must be a rightful decision for that. When you feel sleepy, when to sleep, when not to sleep, where not to sleep, how not to sleep, you must have a intellectual decision for that. And when you have fear, you should again think for what you should fear, for what you should not fear, why you need not fear, and why you need to be fear, when you need to be afraid, when you need not be afraid. You must have such logical decisions. In the same way, as far as the sexual activity is concerned, you should have this logical ability to take a decision about with whom to have that sexual activity, with whom not to have this sexual activity. That is why in the Indian context or in the context of Bharata Desha, marriage is one of the 16 samskaras. I have told you this 16 samskaras earlier also. I will repeat it once again. Garbhadhana, Pumsavana, Simantonnayana, Jatakarma, Namakarna, Nishkramana, Annaprashana, Chudakarma, Karnavedhana, Vidyarambha, Upanayana, Vedarambha, Keshanta, Samavartana, Vivaha, Antyeshti. Out of these 16 samskaras or cultures, Vivaha or marriage is the 15th culture. That is when Vivaha will give a dharma for kama. When there is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Through dharma, there must be artha. Means through dharma, through righteousness only, you should earn your livelihood. Through righteousness only, you should fulfill your desires. Through righteousness only, you should liberate yourself. That is how dharma, artha, kama, moksha are called as Chaturvidha Purushartha. Without this dharma, if there is only artha and kama, there cannot be moksha. Now coming back to Kundalini. What is this Kundalini called as? Kundalini is a dormant energy which will cause beings to reproduce. To some extent, Kundalini and the sexual instinct are related. Kundalini is the one which is developing the feeling of the ego that it is me. Then when it is with the Swadhisthana Chakra, it is going to develop the feeling that this is mine. Me and mine. That way Muladhara and Swadhisthana. And in the yogi scriptures, it is told that Kundalini resides in the Muladhara. That means the feeling of me is there present with the Muladhara. And then gradually develop the feeling of mine. In fact, the chakra Manipura is the demarcation between mundane life and the spiritual life. If the Kundalini transcends the Manipura chakra, that is when a bhogi will become a yogi. Otherwise, if the Kundalini remains at Muladhara, gradually a bhogi will become a rogi. Now, whenever you have a puberty, at the age of maybe 16, maybe 14, maybe 18, everyone will have a puberty. A boy will become a man, a girl will become a woman. Whenever they have a puberty, naturally they think that they have become adults, and naturally at times they will develop this instinct of sexual gratification. That is when Kundalini has overtaken you. In fact, Kundalini wants people to have more and more of such activities and more of reproduction. Basically, nature wants its own mechanism to replicate. You can see all type of cycle in nature where if beings keep on reproducing themselves, same types of bodies keep on getting manufactured, and automatically this process keeps on happening. That is how nature is planned. Even when fruits yield seeds, it is basically the cycle which is working so that seeds will again become trees, trees will again become fruits, trees will again yield fruits, and through fruits again seeds will be propagated and the cycle of reproduction will continue. That is when I have been telling you about Udbhija, Svedaja, Andaja and Jarayuja. It is basically nature's way of reproducing the living bodies. But this is not understood by a man and a woman when they involve in sexual copulation. They think that they are having that particular desire and they are fulfilling the desire. Actually, they are becoming the victims for this desire. In fact, sexual activity is very much required for producing a good progeny, for producing good children, or after children are born, to give them a good culture. That is the basic responsibility of the parents. Otherwise, everybody will reproduce, everything will reproduce. All creatures are involved in only reproduction, nothing else. So now, Kundalini is the one which is developing a feeling of ego in you, and Kundalini is the one which is gradually making the body to attain puberty, and Kundalini is the one which will keep you as its slave lifelong. Where a man will think that he is a man, a woman will think that she is a woman. As long as they keep on thinking this way, between a man and a woman's body, there can be distinctions and there can be involvements. and they become the victims for their own desires. Now, meditation should help you in reducing your ego, and meditation should help you in understanding that the instincts will not become a personality as your personality should not be defined by your instincts. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna should not define you now. But basically, these four things are only defining every other personality. But in the spiritual domain, you will have to transcend all these definitions. You will have to discard all these definitions. Where based on Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna, someone should not be labeled. That labeling is happening because of Kundalini itself. That is why Kundalini is called as part of Maya, part of illusion. Now, if you have to overcome the illusions, if you have to understand the truth as it is, you should not allow yourself to become the slave of Kundalini. In the other sense, you should not allow yourself to become the victim of your own instincts or desires. Now, again, go back to the definition of Dhyana, Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. If you have an egoless mind, a clean mind, Kundalini will again try to fill your mind with the instinctual thoughts. But again, you will purify your own mind. Now, between your instinct and between your intellect, a tussle will happen, a battle will happen, a war will happen. Your instincts are basically animalistic. Your intellect is basically humanistic. Now you decide what you want to be, whether you want to be animalistic or whether you want to be humanistic. Between your instinct and intellect, when these tussles happen, you should win over this tussle, and gradually you should not yield yourself to the instincts. If you yield yourself to the instincts, again Kundalini will overtake you. That is where in the olden days, the children used to be sent to Gurukul, and they used to stay in Gurukul until they attain puberty. At the age of 8, if a boy or a girl is sent to Gurukul, till 12 years they used to be with the Guru only. After they finish their education or Brahma Vidya, education is Brahma Vidya there, Vedic education. At the age of 20, they used to come back to their own home. That means when they were attaining puberty, they were under the strict supervision of their Guru. They were not with their parents also at that time. That is how such a great character used to get formed in the Gurukula system. I repeat the cultures once again. Garbhadhana, Pumsavana, Simantavana, Jatakarma, Namakarana, Nishkravana, Annaprashana, Chuda Karma, Karna Vedhana, Vidyarambha. Later on it is Vedarambha at the Gurukula. After Vedarambha, Keshanta, Samavartana, Vivaha, Antyeshti, that way. Upanayana used to happen before Vidyarambha. And Vivaha used to happen after coming back from Gurukula. Now understand that particular system of education where when the boy or a girl were developing the adulthood or getting the adulthood, they were not in the mainstream society. They were with their respective teachers in the Gurukula. And they were taught meditation in the very young age so that their mind will not be occupied by their animalistic thoughts or animalistic behaviors. And they will not become yield for the instincts. Now, in the practice of yoga, when you practice dhyana, you are expected to overcome your animalistic instincts and you are expected to elevate yourself into a humanistic behavior or a humanistic existence as such. Otherwise, Kundalini will be very happy to take its own control again. That is when in the Vedic period they used to say initially Brahmacharya, then Garhastya, then Vanaprastya, then Sannyasa. Directly from Brahmacharya to Sannyasa was not prescribed by the Vedas. That is why I have been telling that directly going from brahmacharya to sannyasa is not actually going to yield any substantial results as such as it is happening nowadays. There are great exceptions such as Adi Shankara or Vivekananda. They are great exceptions. But all the other monks have not reached to the same heights of Adi Shankara or Swami Vivekananda. Why? Because from brahmacharya they directly get into sannyasa without going through the normal phase of life. But Kundalini within their body says that I am very much within you. You may call yourself as a brahmachari, you may call yourself as a sannyasi, but for me, you are a man, you are a woman. Unless through the practice of meditation, if they don't purify their own mind, the instinct will gradually take a control over their mind. That is why, again, I am saying, meditation is going to purify your mind, and gradually it is going to make you understand the subtle working of the spiritual force in the body that is called as Kundalini. Now you may ask me a question. If this Kundalini is taking everyone under control, and if this Kundalini is actually exhibiting the sexual behavior, and if this Kundalini is basically a Maya or illusion, how can there be a spiritual force? It is basically a spiritual force because otherwise, how come reproduction should happen? Reproduction is happening by means of 4 methods called Udbijja, Svedaja, Andaja, Jarayuja, which I have been repeatedly telling before also. This is the nature's way or the divine way or the God's way itself to have a self-replicating, self-repeating mechanism. If this mechanism was to happen, or if the cyclic reproduction is to happen, then there must be a spiritual force only present in the body, and you should not be aware of it. For example, any person who is involved in a sexual copulation, they think that they are enjoying. They think that they are having some fun. They think that they are having some satisfaction. They think that way. In fact, they are made to think that way at that time. Brain is elsewhere, genitals are elsewhere. Still they are connected together. When they are connected together through the nervous system, arousal happens. And when the arousal happens, there will be a desire to copulate. And when they involve in such activities, they think that they are having some enjoyment, they are having some fun, they are having some satisfaction. But actually what is happening? Actually, some essences are going out of the body, they are going into some other body. Without their own knowledge, seed is planted in the field. Without their own knowledge. That is when I used to say the parents are only instrumental cause. And the mother's body itself is the material cause. The real cause is Kundalini. Now, through the practice of meditation, if you understand that the one which is governing your own mind is within you, what will you do? You will try to control your mind, and Kundalini will say, it is not your mind, it is not your body, it is me who is within you, and it is me who has made a child as a man or a child as a woman. It is me who developed puberty, and through puberty, adolescence, it is me who is going to use you for nature's reproductive purpose. Now, if through meditation, if you can understand this fact, gradually you will try to refine yourself, gradually you will try to submerge your desires, gradually you will try to divert your thoughts from the normal pleasure-seeking activities to some other spiritual activities. If that does not happen, then you will remain the same person. There will be no other spiritual progress. Hyderabad Nizam had 300 wives in his palace. He used to declare war against all other small kings. He used to kill all those kings. And in the king's palaces, whichever queens were there, he used to bring them all and fill all those queens into his palace. and he had 300 wives. And I used to make a joke that he must have collected another 65 at least, so that per day one queen, that way he could have had 365 queens. Now that was a joke which I was telling. Now seriously I will tell, whether it is 365 queens or whether it is one queen, what difference does it make? What difference does it make as far as the human contact is concerned or as far as the sexual copulation is concerned? What difference does it make? It is simply putting a seed into a particular field, nothing else. That way I should say Hyderabad Nizam became a victim of Kundalini completely. Now can Hyderabad's Nizam think of attaining salvation or liberation with these many desires which are submerged and this much of a karma is being happening? And in this way, if the memory remains intact and the memory remains intact with all the vrittis, if the memory is filled with all types of selfish activities, can Hyderabad Nizam think of attaining liberation or salvation or getting merged into the divinity? How is it possible? That is when, even though Kundalini is a spiritual force in the body, it is possible to conquer it. I have been telling you repeatedly, God has given human beings certain amount of freedom, unlike other animals. All other animals are, even today, victims of Kundalini only. But they are not doing heavy wrong things as human beings are doing. Even all other animals and birds are also having a sexual copulation. In spite of all that, they are not involved in those many dirty activities which human beings are involved in. God has given a certain amount of freedom to human beings when compared to other animals and birds, where human beings have a factor called intellect, where they can actually judge or decide or observe about their own functionality of the body. And they can gradually overcome the effects of Kundalini. Otherwise, how do you think a 5-year-old boy will ask permission from his own mother for sannyasa? How come a 16-year-old boy will ask Ramakrishna Paramamsa, have you seen God? What do you think about those two great personalities called Adi Shankara and Swami Vivekananda? They were not victims of the Kundalini, even though the Kundalini was very much there in their body. I keep on mentioning these two great personalities, Adi Shankara and Swami Vivekananda. They are my role models. Now, if you have to understand all these facts, you will have to approach life in a different way. If you have gone in the wrong direction, it is high time that you take a U-turn and come back and start once again afresh. It takes a lot of time to understand your body. It takes a lot of time to understand your mind. It takes still longer time to understand that you are part of divine. If you have to understand these two sentences called Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvam Asi, it may take you many lifetimes now, unless you overcome the effects of Kundalini. For that purpose, dhyana becomes necessary. With the arousal of the dormant force, one can have paranormal experiences which will help in knowing the self, neither as the body nor as the mind. Now this dormant force called Kundalini is residing in the chakra called Mooladhara, at the lowermost chakra called Mooladhara. Now somehow this dormant force has to be aroused. Otherwise, right now it is submerged. It is not actually exhibiting itself. Without it exhibiting itself, people are becoming slaves of this particular force. In fact, a man is not a man, a woman is not a woman. But people, a man thinks he is a man, woman thinks she is a woman, based on their own genital organs, right? Except for the difference in the genital organs, hands are hands, head is head, legs are legs, heart is heart, lungs are lungs, stomach is stomach. No, people identify themselves as I am a man, I am a woman. That means they identify themselves with the gender. That means they identify themselves with the genital organs. That is what is the basic purpose of Kundalini there. Kundalini wants you to identify yourselves as a physical body. Now, with the practice of this meditation, when you gradually overcome the effects of this spiritual force, the force will try to exhibit itself. And when the force tries to exhibit itself, if you are not going to yield to the force, now the force will gradually arouse. When the arise, and with the arousal of the force, you will have some other experiences in your body, which are not the normal experiences at all. Just to give you one more example, let us say when the electric bulb is glowing, it is the electric bulb which is aware of the electric current. Imagine that way. When the electric bulb is aware of the electric current, now the electric bulb decides that I will not allow the electric current to flow through me. Now when the electric bulb decides that way, electric current still tries to go through the bulb. Now what happens is there will be a tussle between electric current and electric bulb. If the electric bulb remains firm that it will not allow the electric current to flow through it, then what will happen to the electric current? Electric current will have an arousal there. And electric current will exhibit itself that it is me who has been controlling you till now. Electric current will show itself to the electric bulb that it has been me who has been making you to glow till now. Now the electric bulb will say, I will not allow you to pass through me. I will not allow you to take control of me. Even though glowing is there, I don't want to glow anymore from now on. I don't want you to take control of me. Now there will be a tussle here. That is what is called as the arousal of the dormant force. Now the bulb will have different types of experiences compared to all the experiences which it had till now. Same way, when the arousal of the Kundalini happens, the person will have paranormal experiences which are beyond the body. Neither man nor woman. It is beyond the body. You will have paranormal experiences. When you have paranormal experiences, this will help in knowing the self, neither as the body nor as the mind. Because till now, mind has been programmed only by the mundane thoughts. Now the mind has to cleanse itself. And that is when the paranormal experiences will lead to a realization that you cannot be the body, you cannot be the mind, you are the guiding force of both. Now I'll come to the story. One mother fish and one daughter fish were in the ocean. And they were all traveling together. One day, the daughter fish asked the mother fish, Mommy, we keep on moving throughout everywhere and we keep on visiting so many other fishes here. Mommy, we keep on moving. Why are we moving? Where are we moving? Now the mother fish told, my dear child, we are moving because we are not able to stay somewhere. That's why we keep on moving. Moving has been our habit. Now for a second question, where are we moving? I'll say that we are not moving anywhere as such. Whenever we are moving or wherever we are moving inside the ocean. Now the daughter fish asked, where is the ocean? Now the mother fish said, my dear child, we are inside the ocean. Actually, we are moving inside the ocean. Now the daughter fish asked, What is this ocean made up of? Then the mother fish said, the ocean is made up of a large body of water, abundance of water. And we are moving inside this ocean that is made up of water. Now the daughter fish said, I am not seeing any ocean. I am not seeing any water. Again the mother fish said, my dear child, you will have to believe in my words. We are actually moving inside water. In fact, inside our body also it is water only. Water only is going inside your mouth. Water only is going out through your gills. You are actually swallowing water and releasing water. And the water itself is keeping you alive. Again, daughter fish said, I don't believe you. I am not seeing any water. I am not seeing any ocean. It is only you and me moving here together. It is only you and me talking to each other. I am not seeing any water at all. I am not seeing any ocean at all. Even if you say that I have to believe you, why should I believe you when I do not experience this at all? Okay, then the mother fish said, okay, my dear child, then do a task which I am going to tell you. Till now you have been with me. Now just do what I say. Simply keep going up. Don't come down. Develop that courage. Develop that willpower. Simply keep going up. Don't come back. Now when you keep going up, you keep on watching what are you going to have. Now afterwards, when you have such experience, you come back, then you tell me whatever experience you had. Daughter fish said, okay, mommy. I'll simply go up, then I'll come back, then I'll talk to you once again. So the daughter fish simply went up, 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 up and up. When it kept on going up, up and up, suddenly it crossed the surface of water. When it crossed the surface of water, on top of the surface of water, it is seeing a large abundance of water, that is ocean. Everywhere it is seeing water, water, water only. Everywhere it is seeing a large ocean. But when this daughter fish went upside on the surface of water, it suffocated. It could not live anymore. It totally suffocated. And it became heavily afraid that it is going to die. But now this daughter fish was convinced that till now it was inside water only, but it did not understand water at all. Till now it was moving inside the ocean itself, but it did not understand that it is moving inside the ocean. Now on the surface of the ocean, it is seeing the ocean, which is water everywhere. But the daughter fish started suffocating. It came back and told to the mother fish that, Mommy, now I realized whatever you said is true. Now I realize that we are moving inside water. And this ocean is full of water. Water only was going through me. Water was going out through me. When I went on the surface of water, there is no more water there. So I suffered partial death there. I got afraid of death. I came back. Mother fish told, my dear child, you experienced a partial samadhi and you realized that you are part of water. My dear audience, it indicates the practice of yoga. You have the feeling of me. In Swadhisthana, you have the feeling of mine. Gradually, Kundalini should be aroused within your body through yogic practices. And gradually, Kundalini should transcend the Swadhisthana, move towards Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna, Sahasrara. And when this Kundalini reaches Sahasrara, you will become egoless. That state is called as Samadhi, where you will actually have out of body, out of mind, near death experience. But you will not die. You will not die so easily. Because Death is not actually so easy to be obtained. But with the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, if you can become egoless, even for a moment, if your Kundalini can reach Sahasrara, even for a moment, and if you can realize that you are neither the body nor the mind, even for a moment, that is enough. Now the daughter fish will always come back to the mother. Same way you will again come back, but you will come back with the realization. You will come back as a yogi, not as a rogi. So you don't have to be afraid that actual practices of Ashtanga Yoga will make you a monk or a sannyasi or a virakta. No, the practice of Ashtanga Yoga will make you a realized one, not a monk or a virakta or a sannyasi. I have not become a monk. I have not become a sannyasi. I have not become a virakta. I even today remain as a karma yogi. I should not say that actually. But I am there in the family life. I enjoy being with my family. I enjoy teaching even in engineering college. I enjoy teaching even in the yoga classes. I keep on earning my own livelihood. I am happy that way. It doesn't mean that you will become a monk or a sannyasi. On the contrary, it doesn't mean that every monk or a sannyasi is also a yogi or a realized person. In the present 20th century, you can see so many fake monks or fake sannyasis who are cheating people in the name of spirituality. They have not controlled their own instincts. How can they teach others to control their instincts? That is when I again, the direct from brahmacharya to sannyasa is not prescribed by the Vedas also. It was not prescribed by the scriptures also. Just because Adi Shankara did it, just because Swami Vivekananda did it, everybody else should not do it, cannot do it that way. Adi Shankara had a great culture of his previous life. Swami Vivekananda had a great culture of his previous life. Unless you have that great culture from your previous life, you have brought to this life, you should not try becoming a sannyasi directly from a brahmachari. That is why always from brahmacharya, come to grahastha ashrama, being in a family life, do some good jobs, good works, good tasks, educate your own children, gradually contribute yourself to the welfare of the society, then gradually involve yourself in the study of the scriptures, vanaprastha, then maybe at the end after retirement or after about 70-75, take up sannyasa for the serious practice of attaining salvation or liberation. That was what was the method prescribed by the Vedas. Now, without understanding all these things, people say that they are practicing yoga. What they practice, they also don't know. The real purpose of yoga is to have self-realization. All other things are temporary benefits in between. Whether it is asana or pranayama or pratyahara or dharana, they are all intermediate steps. Just like right from kindergarten to primary school to high school to graduation to post-graduation to research, what actually is happening there? Ultimately, for a realization as a whole, all the school level, college level education are stepping stones. In the same way, the whole and sole purpose of practice of yoga is self-realization only. All other practices are making the body ready for the same, making the mind ready for the same. Now, if you get a physical health out of it, that is a added benefit or it is a different outcome altogether. It is not the real purpose of practicing yoga. I repeat, the true purpose of practicing yoga is self-realization. That way, yoga is a great science of spirituality. Yoga is a great means for understanding the secrets of spirituality. Otherwise, you may think that he was supposed to talk about spirituality. Why is he talk about yoga? I should say that yoga and spirituality are one and the same. One is in Sanskrita, one is in English. Otherwise, yoga is spirituality, spirituality is yoga. They are one and the same. Let me discuss about the classifications of yoga. Yoga is basically described as 4 branches according to Shiva Samhita. There are many such classifications in many different books. One particular book called Shiva Samhita discusses yoga as mantra yoga, laya yoga, hatha yoga, raja yoga. Mantra yoga means mananat trayate iti mantraha. By means of memorization, the one which protects the mind, that is called as mantra. In general, if a guru initiates a shishya by means of a mantra, and the guru will tell the shishya, keep on chanting this mantra, what actually happens is, so many stray thoughts will be arrested, so many stray thoughts will stop, and the mind will become more and more focused. When the mind becomes more and more focused, gradually mind will be habituated to think about only the mantra and nothing else. For example, if any of you have been initiated into Gayatri mantra, you will know that your initiator would have told you to chant the Gayatri mantra 108 times, taking a japamala. If you have not been initiated, you don't have to worry. I am going to initiate you into the same practice in future. Now, if you are initiated into this practice of mantra or chanting of mantra, gradually those 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts, those negative thoughts, they all will get stopped automatically, provided you develop the willpower to chant again and again and again, or else your guru will be there to monitor you. Whether you are really doing it or not, it will be monitored by the guru. That is the responsibility of the guru. Now, if you keep on chanting this mantra over a period of a few days or a few months or a few years, depending upon your own ability, your guru will check your spiritual progress now. Guru will check whether you have attained that much of concentration or that much of stability. Now, once you develop this stability or concentration or the control of the mind, then the guru will say, now stop chanting and remain blank. Mantra is meant for diverting your mind's attention to your own inner self, for inner conquering, so that the vacillating mind will become steady. When once the vacillating mind becomes steady, that is when the guru will say, now think no more. No more chanting. At the same time, no more thinking also. That ability will come to you gradually. When there is no more thinking, no more chanting, what the mind is going to do? Mind is not going to do anything. When the mind is not going to do anything, still mind is pure. Mind is not impure. If mind is impure, again it will involve in doing something. Mind has become clean and pure. Mind has become stable. In fact, you have become stable. You have become pure and clean. Next step is Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. Abheda Darshanam Jnanam. That is what is going to happen through Mantra Yoga. In fact, Mantra Yoga is one of the easiest practices. But the problem is, when people are initiated into the mantra, they will do it only 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, maybe 1 week, maybe 1 month. At the most, maybe 1 year. Then people want variety. If at all only one mantra is there, people don't want to chant the only one mantra because they think there is variety in food, there is variety in clothes, there is variety in everything in nature, there must be variety in mantra also. No, the purpose here is different. But people think there must be a variety of teachers also. Why should we go to only one guru here? This guru is telling us only one mantra. I should go to some other guru to find out something else. People, if they go that way, they will never come back. and they are lost. If they don't remain committed to a particular mantra, they are lost. And at many times, these people will not have any great faith on their teacher, or they will not have any great faith on the mantra also. They will think, what is this mantra? At times, people may do what is. They may simply switch on a DVD and they keep on playing the DVD with the same mantra. Who will attain liberation? DVD player will attain liberation. DVD will attain liberation. Who will attain liberation? Of course, the DVD player also helps to some extent. At least DVD player is playing the same mantra. At least that mantra is hitting your eardrums and you will be able to remember the mantra better. But ultimately, you are the one who is aspiring for self-realization, not the DVD player. So when people take all these mantra yoga practices very lightly, it will not serve its purpose. In general, mantra yoga practice is taken very, very lightly by the 20th century and 21st century people. As it is very simple, they think that it is all not of any use. That is when Shiva Samhita says one more method called Laya Yoga. Through mantra yoga, practice Laya Yoga. Laya means what? Dissolution. What all should be dissolved? Bodily feeling itself must be dissolved. When you are sitting for meditation, you should never think that your legs are paining, your back is aching, your neck is aching. You should never think that way. For that purpose, yogasana is prescribed. If you practice yogasana, body becomes flexible. And when body becomes flexible, you can keep the body in any posture. You can sit in any posture. When you can sit in any posture, you should gradually lose the feeling of the body itself. Body must be comfortable in its own way. Body, let it sit still in its own way comfortably, but sleep should not occur. When sleep does not occur, naturally, you should stop thoughts, stop thinking. That is called Laya. Laya means dissolution. Dissolution of the bodily feeling, dissolution of the mental feeling. When both such feelings get dissolved, whatever remains is itself realization. So after mantra yoga, they prescribed Laya Yoga. Mantra yoga helps in bringing a vacillating mind into one place, and Laya Yoga helps in making that mind totally blank and clean. But then Shiva Samhita again prescribed Hatha Yoga. Now let us say mantra yoga does not work out. Means vacillating mind does not come into control. Then what to do? Apply force. Guru will apply force. Guru will punish. If the student is not practicing as per the instructions, Guru can punish. Verbally punish, physically punish. That is applying force. Now, if the student is aspiring to have this yoga, even student has to apply force for his body, for his mind. Student should develop this courage of sitting still in a particular place, applying force on the body. Applying force on the body is basically asana, pranayama. Different practices of yogasana are applying force on the body, that body should become my slave. I should not become body's slave. That is the purpose of practicing yogasana. The purpose of practicing pranayama is breath should be my slave. I should not be the slave of the breath. Both body and breath must be under my control. Gradually, when they are under my control, gradually mind will automatically fall into my control. Because breath and mind are deeply related. When the mind is vacillating, breathing becomes shallow and breathing becomes haphazard. When the mind is under control, breathing becomes deeper and breathing becomes systematic. So breathing and mind are deeply related. So apply force on the body, on the breath, on the mind. That is called Hatha Yoga. By means of all these three practices, either all three together or one of them each, by means of all these practices, If at all you can understand that you are the king of your body, you are the king of your mind, you are the basic divine self or basic divine entity. If you attain self-realization, that is called Raja Yoga. But now my lady audience may say, why that Raja male is there? Now for you people, I'll say, call it as Rani Yoga. If you are upset with the word Raja Yoga, you can call it as Rani Yoga. Both are one and the same. It is called as Raja Yoga by the scriptures because the person who wrote the book is a male. So he thought it's a king yoga or an emperor yoga. That way he called it as Raja Yoga. Now if a lady would have written the same book, lady would have written as Rani Yoga. That's all. Let us not have a dispute over this naming as Raja Yoga or Rani Yoga. Basically all yoga leads to self-realization. So by means of all these practices, if the purpose is fulfilled, that's all that actually is supposed to happen that way. It is 9 o'clock now. I'll be discussing these methodologies in detail on Friday because tomorrow is Thursday. I'll have satsanga here. See you on Friday. Until then, take care and goodbye.